Hi there folks, welcome to RRTV's live coverage of the Skip Barber Monday Lights. We're coming to you live tonight from Oulton Park. We're on the short circuit, Foster's, and as you can see at the moment folks, they are out there qualifying. We can see Anthony Catt on the track at the moment, sitting in 17th, but we'll see where he sits because they just started their flying lap. Now Alex, we've had 4 splits tonight, 69 drivers in total once again, and that's a fantastic turnout.
Absolutely, Bernie, an amazing turnout tonight. Once again, we're in the top 5. Actually, we're the second highest strength of field for the week. Once again, showing the popularity of the Monday Night Lights series as part of the official season. Really appreciate the support of all the drivers coming out tonight. An amazing turnout for what's been a really fun week of racing, Bernie.
Yeah, I saw on your podcast, I think it was, or your Twitch stream, that you said it was fun, but I didn't get out there tonight, this week. The undulations and the heavy breathing sort of put me off, but looking at Anthony Catt at the moment, he's jumped to pole position here, Alex, 105.717, and all the cars are now coming through.
Yeah, that's a fantastic time for an opening lap around here, Bernie. The temperature tonight on track's quite cool at around 23 degrees. We should see some good times in the 105s tonight. Perhaps even some of the quicker guys in the draft around here might duck into the 104s if we're lucky, but certainly an interesting track here, different from the massive draft action that we saw last week at Watkins Glen. Back to a more technical single file type action here tonight where strategy and technique come to the fore.
Yeah, that's for sure. It's going to be interesting as well, folks. We've got Luke Whitten at the moment, provisional pole. Tom Ward sitting second. Now, these two drivers came together in a spectacular fashion last race that I was watching, just after Deer Leap, as they call it, on the main straight. They came together and both of them went heavily into the wall and ended their race. So hopefully they'll both have a better run in this round. But let's have a look at our track guide and the weather. Tonight, sky is clear, wind speed 9 kilometres per hour, humidity 49%. Track temp though 34 degrees Celsius, so it's not too bad out there, and you know the cars, they're not going to even worry about that sort of temperature.
No, not at all, Bernie. You'll see the guys here sort of slip and slide around a bit. This track's, as you sort of indicated before, has got some nice undulations in it. A really nice track, similar to I guess the English version of Oran Park, I guess you might say, with the tight technical undulations, the corners here not lending themselves, or the straights not lending themselves to much by way of draft to pass opportunities. It's all about the driver's technique and how they manage themselves around the track. A lot more strategy than you might see in other places, or at least different strategy. It's no longer when do I make my move on the draft, it's how can I set up a pass. And you might be thinking not just corners ahead but laps ahead. So really technical challenge for the guys here tonight. I'll be looking to see how they go with it.
Yeah, and we just had news, the last race, Luke Whitten was having monitor sleep issues, so hopefully that'll resolve itself for this one. One of the viewers, Alex, has asked what strength of field it is tonight. Have you got that anywhere?
Yeah, absolutely. 3,518 is the strength of field, second highest for the week, beaten only by the midweek broadcast race at 44.71. That race this season's turned out to be a spectacular event each week, primarily because some of our viewers may know, those who follow the Skippies closely will know that there's a prize for the overall official season winner. This season, they get a trip out to the Skip Barber School, although tragically during the week we found out that there's some financial issues at the Skip Barber School, so it's sort of a bit of a up in the air kind of thing, but certainly the top drivers in the world have been competing really extra hard this season. We've seen some old faces and some new try to rise to the challenge, but what it's meant has seen that midweek strength of field race really come up as a feature event during the week, closely followed by our event here at Monday Night Lights, Bernie, because guys know that in these high strength of field races, that's where you get your best opportunity to grab much needed points towards that overall official season standings, Bernie.
Yeah, and the Monday night lights, of course, doubles as the Australian Strength of Field race, and we're definitely getting a lot of interest there. But before we finish qualifying, let's have a look at our point score, because Russell Clark, Luke Whitten, they keep on swapping here. At the moment, Luke's sitting in front by only 3 points. Russell Clark has dropped down to second, so he's on 198 points. Kevin Henderson, he's jumped 2 positions there, up to 155 points. Fourth is Brian Inglis, so he's dropped down from third to fourth, and he's sitting on 144 points. And then rounding out your top 5 is Darryl Ridley. He's jumped 3 positions, and he's sitting on 140 points at the moment.
Yeah, well, it's fantastic to see positions 4 and 5 filled by second split regulars in Brian and Darryl. Amazingly this season, for his pace, Darryl Ridley's been stuck in the second split. I don't mean to sound too bad, but his pace is phenomenal, enough to be up with the front runners and in the top split. To that end, he's won 4 of the second split races this season, a feat matched by no one previously, and it also demonstrates both with him and Brian Inglis with consistent good results. Once again demonstrating that Monday Night Lights is all about participation, whatever split you're in, and depending on how you go with regular good results, you can be up there with the best of them in the top split, Bernie.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it. Now, it looks like the guys have pretty much finished their qualifying, so let's go through the grid, and just so people can see where their favourite drivers are starting from tonight. So Tom Ward will start from pole position tonight. He set a 105.255, closely followed by Luke Whitten in second, 105.261. So that's about, 6 thousandths of a second difference between those two. Kevin Henderson will start out of third tonight, followed by Håkon Grebstad in fourth. Kane Halliburton will start out of fifth. Out of sixth, Anthony Catt, followed by Dennis Johansson in seventh. David McDonald, he'll start out of eighth tonight. Sergio Heil, I think it is, out of ninth. Benjamin Soko will start out of 10th. Out of 11th tonight is Russell Clark, followed by Carlos Sorrentes in 12th, but Martinovic in 13th. Mick Gray will start out of 14th tonight. 15th is Dennis Fiedler, followed by Tim Hendrickson. 17th is Ben Snell, and rounding out your field of 18 is Daniel Pasquale.
Fascinating to see some really big names start turning out, Bernie. Tom Ward on pole, one of the top drivers in the world. Luke Whitten, our homegrown hero, so to speak, he's currently sitting just outside the top 10 in the official standings there in second. Kevin Henderson, once again showing some great pace here. Not done many races this week from what I've seen, but managed to get up third. Håkon, who I've raced with several times this week, sitting there in fourth. And there's a long list of really strong drivers there all the way throughout the field, Bernie. I'm looking forward to a fantastic race.
It's going to be a brilliant race, I'm sure of it, and 23 laps around here. We can hear the revs rising now, waiting for the green flag, which we should have right now, and we're underway here at Oulton Park. So Tom Ward, pole position, he takes the lead. Luke Whitten right behind him. Kevin Henderson's tucking in there in third, and then fourth we have Håkon Grebstad.
Yeah, it looks like we've managed to almost get through turn one okay. Everyone through okay. The big action to watch will be down here at Foster's for the first time. See what happens down the rear of the field, Bernie. A lot of action down here at Foster's this week, but I'd expect as we see Russell get caught out. He's managed to get through that there okay, Bernie, but I imagine he's got to slow down. He'll be watching to see how many people go by and here up the back straight, Bernie.
Yeah, and down the back there we had them 3 wide as they came down into Foster's for the first time. But up front we've got Tom Ward leading, Luke Whitten in second, Kevin Henderson third, Håkon fourth, and your top 5 is Kane Halliburton.
Yeah, Kane had some really strong results here during the week, quite aggressive and like to put pressure on the guys in front, which of course is a really strong and valid tactic around here. See, Kevin's looks to be having a couple of network issues, bouncing in and out a bit, but the front 6 or so getting away cleanly in single file there, not getting caught up at Foster's the first time as they come around turn 1 for the second time, Bernie.
You can see Kevin up there sliding. That car looks awfully loose, and it's going to cost him a position here as Pasquale goes through. We're on the nose cone with Kane, and he was even having a look there.
Yeah, guys will be looking for any opportunity they can get. Foster's isn't really a particularly strong passing opportunity because the run down the hill can really leave the car unsettled and end your night and the guy you're fighting with very quickly. The key opportunities will be looking to set up the back straight. Once you get through Druids, you want to set yourself up into Lodge and maybe through Old Hall Corner, turn 1, Bernie. They're your two key passing opportunities that the guys will be looking to set up throughout the race.
Yeah, we can see there Kane got a little bit slidey, but he's having a look on Kevin at the moment as they come into the final corner. I think that's Lodge they're going through now, but up front, Luke Whitten, he's trying to close the gap on Tom Ward. Now, as I said earlier, 0.06 of a second separated these two on the grid, and it's going to be a mighty good race as long as they don't tangle up again.
Yeah, absolutely, Benny. I'd suggest that those two are probably going to clear out from here. They've got a nice little gap there, 1.4 seconds, providing it, and I think they will race smart from here, Bernie. Luke will just tuck in behind for a number of laps before deciding to make a move at some stage if he's still close enough towards the end, Bernie, because there's no reason for them to fight now. They've got a clear gap, and I don't think the rest of this field is going to be able to bridge it based on the calibre of the two in front. And all the action from here on out, other than those changes potentially for the lead down the stretch, will be in that second pack by the looks, all the way down to is that David McDonald sitting at 8th, Bernie.
Yeah, and we've had our first two retirements, folks. We've lost Mick Gray, Russell Clark have both retired from this race. We're going to have a look at the replay to see if we can work out exactly what's gone on here. It's happened on the first lap, unfortunately, but we've got the replay up now. We're just having a look. You can see Russell on the inside. He got tagged, which has given him quite a lot of rear end damage, but we'll just see what happens to Mick here. I have a feeling these two might have come together.
Yeah, potentially, Bernie. I missed it, unfortunately. I'll have to go back and try and find it myself, but I know Russell did take a strange cut through Foster's on the first lap. I can only assume he got pushed in the rear and unsettled the car and pointed him in the right direction ultimately for the track, but certainly you get hit in the rear in these things and your night's over in a hurry.
Yeah, it doesn't look like they did come together. Russell Clark has had rear end damage. That's what's caused the end of his night. To have a quick look here before we get back to the action of what happened to Mick Gray, folks, and then we promise we'll get straight back to the action for you.
Yeah, I'm just trying to trace it up now. Looks like he's made through Foster's okay. Just trying to find it there. It's a shame for Mick. He's such a great campaigner. He's just run out of Druids. It looks like he might have had mechanical failure. It didn't look like he had any particular reason to have that moment there, Bernie. But he's just gone and parked it in the pits.
Yeah, it looks like he had, as you said, some sort of mechanical failure at Druids there and pulled it off, and that was the end of his race. Russell Clark is back out there, of course, as we can see now, live pictures, sitting in 17th, but back up the front. We have Tom Ward leading Luke Whitten for first, second. Huckon now has got past Kevin, so he's in third, Kevin fourth. Dennis Johansson, keep an eye on him, folks. He's already up to fifth, 2 spots up since the start.
Yeah, Dennis Johansson, a really strong driver. Easily said when you find out that he's actually a race driving instructor in real life during the summer months. He's got some talent and knows how to use it. Very fast around here during the week. Won plenty of races. Ranging up the back on Kevin now. Look up the inside of Lodge here into turn 9. Penultimate corner on the track. It's probably your best overtaking opportunity, the one that costs you the least amount of time when you work sensibly together, and that's exactly what Dennis and Kevin did there, maximising their speed through the corner in that change of position, minimising the damage to their overall time, Bernie.
Yeah, it was a pretty clean pass, wasn't it? And as you said, Kevin worked with him, riding in the cockpit cam now with Dennis Johansson. He's up to fourth, starting to close in now on Huckon. And as you can see up further, folks, the battle between Luke and Tom continues. Luke's right behind him, but he hasn't managed to make a pass as yet.
No, I'd suggest you'd stick behind there. The gap's now between them and Huckon is chasing in third is 1.8 seconds. So they've only managed to increase 0.4 of a second. I'd suggest now is Dennis looking bravely as they head up into Druids on lap 6. Bernie, he's gone straight past. Hockon's worked with him again there. I imagine Hockon's raced a bit with Dennis here. He might suspect that he's the one to try and bridge that gap. Bernie, let him through at what is a very challenging place to get through, let alone overtaking as they approach Lodge now for coming towards the end of lap 6.
Yeah, and the pace out there, folks, is very, very fast. Tom Ward last time by a 104.973. Luke pretty much matched him, but if we look at the top three, Dennis Johansson's also, he did a 104.947.
Yeah, Dennis has got the pace round here. Kane Halliburton, the other one in the 104s. Bernie, I said we might see a few tonight, but they're starting to come through thick and fast. Just shows the calibre of the guys here in this massively strong strength of field for tonight's race, Bernie. And I would suggest now that what we're going to see is a race in 5. 2 guys up the front trying to play the role of the hare, and Dennis Johansson leading a pack of dogs chasing them down. But it should be a good one to see us out.
Yeah, we can see now Huck-On, he's starting to climb on the back of Dennis again. And these three, he's carrying Kevin with him, and then we've got David McDonald and, of course, Kane there battling it out. You can see Kane having a look on David. He thinks twice about it. So a few good little battle packs looming around here.
Yeah, absolutely. I know Kane's got some great pace around here. He'll be sort of getting a bit of steam under the ears, trying not to lose that pack in front if he feels David's holding him up at all. I have no doubts that he'll try and duck past him here, either at turn 9 or turn 1 that they're passing through now, through Old Hall Corner, as it's known. As Dave McDonald run wide there. You can take a strategic 1X, as we've been calling them during the week there, as we run wide and still get really good drive out of the corner, Bernie. Only do a few of them, though, because too many of them and you're out of the race.
Yeah, well, that's what they've got to keep an eye on. And, of course, you've raced here this week, Alex, and I can only imagine you don't really get a lot of time to rest around the Foster's layout of Oulton Park.
Absolutely right, Bernie. You don't get a lot of time to read your stream chat and keep your viewers engaged based on my experience. A lot of tight corners, a lot of close racing in good company. If you can survive Foster's the first couple of laps, you're on for a good night. And the racing here's been spectacular, but as you say, there's no rest for the wicked around here.
Yeah, that's for sure. The drivers are extremely busy here and no doubt working up a bit of a sweat. 15 laps of this race remaining, and at the moment nothing separating Tom and Luke. And of course further back Dennis is starting to get a little bit of a gap, but it's interesting, since he got through so quickly, sitting in third, he doesn't appear to be making that much of an inroads on the front two.
Absolutely right, Bernie. That gap's out now to 2.2 seconds. The leading pair, led out by Tom Ward, has actually increased that by another 0.4 of a second in the last few laps. Dennis, of course, not being able to break away from the guys behind who are content to sit single file. And of course, the draft here is not enough to really give you terribly many passing opportunities, with the exception of perhaps turn 9 at Lodge as they're heading up there now. But you have to get your run out of Druids right, the section that the double right-hander they just went through, to really set up the pass here. It takes a lot of thinking and careful planning to get right, unless you force a mistake from the guy in front. But at the moment, as you say, they're not really putting a dent in the guys in front. They're out to 2.5 now, another 10th they lost that lap, Bernie, and at this stage it looks like Tom and Luke have got the running up front.
Yeah, and that gap just stretched out to 2.7 seconds. So the two here have got the running. We can see now Luke Whitten having a look on the inside as they come into Foster's here. He's going to make it stick, I think. Yes, he does. Tom worked with him there a little bit. And Luke Whitten has now taken the lead.
Wow, he's decided now's the time to go for the run. They've had a big enough gap. Brave place to overtake, Bernie. I didn't see what run Tom got out of the opening series of corners, but again, Tom now going to the outside as on the approach up to Druids. He wants to lead this race, and he wants to lead it badly. Running outside of Druid there, the line that Luke's got's very challenging, because once you get on the grass out there, the car just doesn't want to turn. You can find the wall very easily, but again, Tom now poking his nose up and pulls back in behind as they head into Lodge on the tail end of lap 10 now, Bernie. But what this is doing, this is bringing the guys behind back into play. They've gained half a second this lap at least, Bernie, back down to 1.7 seconds now to that second pack, as we see Tom Ward now again looking up the second best opportunity on the track through turn 1 at Old Hall Corner there, leaves Luke to hang out to dry wide on that corner and makes that pass stick, Bernie.
And as you're saying, that's allowed the pack behind him to close in. That gap went from 2.7 seconds, folks, down to 1.9 seconds in one lap, as we see now Luke Whitten just jumping the curb. And Dennis will be getting a sniff of this soon, and he's going to be all over this.
Oh, I'll tell you what, Bernie, Dennis is lightning through Foster's. He breaks deep, he gets an awesome rotation on the car, and he's picking up 0.2 of a second as they go through there each time. Unfortunately for him, though, perhaps not the best run out, because the two in front then gain about half of that back. But I think on net, if the two up front keep battling the way they have been the last couple of laps, Dennis will be on them within a couple of laps, Bernie.
Yeah, and his eyes are definitely looking forward there. He's got Huck on behind him, but no doubt he's hoping the guys behind him are going to work with him, and it looks like they are, and that's going to help him close up that gap now, 1.6 seconds, as we can see Tom Ward leading Luke Whitten, and it was quite interesting, wasn't it? He facilitated or helped facilitate that pass with Luke, but then he snatched it straight back as soon as he could.
Yeah, I think they've settled back down again, spotting the relative gap of the guys behind us again. Dennis takes, he just missed his apex at Foster's there, probably didn't gain as much as he has in the last couple of laps, but certainly the guys behind Dennis, either they're not quick enough to make opportunities here, or they're just content to see if he can't bridge the gap, as they're coming on now to the second half of the race. On that 12 of 22 here, they're sitting in close enough to keep in touch with Dennis. Oh, it's the rear of the car, Dennis, he lets it out wide. That'll give Hock on the run. This is where we'll find out what he's willing to do, Bernie. He's right up in the draft now. He's content to sit. He didn't poke the nose out there. He's decided Dennis has probably got the best chance of catching them as they go through Lodge at the end of lap 12 now. They've really got their eyes on the prize. They're trying to catch those front two down, Bernie. There's now 1.7 seconds back across the line. That fighting's dissipated somewhat, and they're still struggling to bridge the gap.
Yeah, and David McDonald's decided it's time to go, and he's just got past Kevin Henderson there as they went into Lodge, and now he's going to try and get on the back of Huck on here. I think it's getting down to the business end of this race, but meanwhile up front it's still Luke Witt and Tom Ward. Tom Ward's leading Luke, and then of course you've got Dennis, Huck on, and now David McDonald is starting to make his play.
Absolutely, Bernie, there all the way back to Kane Halliburton in 7th in that second pack. These guys will be starting to think, okay, it's hard to manufacture a pass around here, and manufacture is what you've got to do, either by pressuring to pass, getting the guy in front to make a mistake, or really strategically lining it up corners in advance. And they're starting to think, well, if I've got to do that half a dozen times, I better start on pretty early. So right now is about where I need to go. Hence we saw David McDonald make the move last lap, and Hock on now ranging up nice and tight behind Dennis now. It'll be interesting to see how long he's content to sit there in 4th and watch Dennis try and bridge that gap, as it's now again extended by another 10th. They're 1.8 behind at this stage, Ben.
Yeah, so the gap now 2.04 seconds from Luke back to Dennis, and it seems to be stabilising again, but I guess once these guys start racing again, fighting again for that final position, we can expect this group to be all over them pretty quickly.
Yeah, interesting to see that Luke sort of had a dress rehearsal, I guess, of where he might like to overtake, and then perhaps how he might defend coming into the final section. I'm wondering, and I might ask him later, if he decided to try that overtake in what's a pretty risky spot on the run down to Foster's there through the Cascades, to see then how he'd need to defend Tom Ward through the final most opportune passing opportunity towards the closing stages of the lap and the race. So interesting to talk to him later, whether he's strategically thinking that much, or maybe just saw an opportunity there to have a crack and thought he had enough of a gap. So interesting to see what strategy they all work through here, Bernie, as this really is a thinking man's track.
Yeah, it certainly is, and I hazard to guess, as this race ticks down, I don't think that Tom will facilitate that pass again with a couple of laps to go quite so easily as he did a few laps past.
I think you're right, Bernie. And that spot where Luke went through, I've seen a number of people try that move and not many pull it off. Generally speaking, what you'll find is when you're in the freight train that you sometimes see, here's Hock on now right on the back of Dennis, and David McDonald, he doesn't look like he's going to be content to sit there for too long. But they file through Druids on lap 15 now, content once again to see if they can't set up the run. David McDonald now looking to put pressure on Hock on. Hock on taking a semi-defensive line, or at least looking like he might. Bit narrow on his entry here into the final corner at Lodge, and once again they go around to complete lap 15, Bernie.
Yeah, we could see Luke Whitten there. He showed his nose on Tom Ward there as they went into Lodge, but he tucked straight back in again, and Tom Ward leads yet another lap. 7 laps here remaining at Oulton Park.
As I was saying, Bernie, as they come down through the Cascades once again, turns 2 and 3, you see guys try and go through here too wide. Not many of them succeed, and particularly the guys on the inside of what turns into Foster's will tend to find that if they get on the grass, they tend to spear through straight on through Foster's, and if you're in traffic, that can mean a nightmare for several and a bit of a pile-up. So great to see the guys here giving each other room through that sort of section of the track, and it shows the quality of the driving and also the respect that they're showing each other.
Yeah, it certainly does, and it's been very good quality of driving out there. We've only had one retirement, that was Mick Gray, and it appears that he's had some sort of hardware issue there. But apart from that, it's been quite uneventful as far as incidents go, but it's been action-packed as far as the racing goes.
Yeah, that's right. And I'm just looking further down the field, down around 10th and 11th. You got Benjamin Soko just holding out Dennis Fiedler there for 10th and 11th, as I was saying. Both of them in the points for tonight. Dennis, car number 18, just sneaking into the top split once again tonight, looking to grab himself some much-needed championship points. And then down behind them, you've got regular Carlos Sorrentes and Daniel Pascal, staying ahead of Russell Clark in 13th and 14th respectively, with Russell after his earlier moments stuck down in 15th. Tim Hendrickson, who I think did rather well last week, he might have even gone close to taking it out, languishing I should say, back in 16th this week, Bernie. So perhaps not the return this week that he expected after a great result last week. Oh, Luke Witten's off now, Bernie. I don't know if you caught that, but he's off at Druids by the look.
Yeah, we just caught that then. We'll have a look at the replay. He was having a look on the outside there as they went into Druids, and it looks like he's just run out of road. But let's have a look at this, because he's got a lot of damage as well.
Yeah, he got a great run out of Foster's up the hill, Bernie. It looks like Tom went defensive on the inside, forced Luke to go round the outside of Druids, and it's a tough place to park. The rear of the car stepped out a little bit. He got the left rear on the grass, and that was all she wrote. It's a really tough place to pass, and when a guy's defending quite hard like that, all the more difficult. Certainly just a racing incident, no contact, and just shows quite how challenging this track can be, Ben.
Yeah, and if you think Tom Ward can take a breather, well, it's going to be a very short breather, because all of a sudden Dennis Johansson has closed that gap, and it's 0.5 of a second last time by. If we have a look at the live telemetry, it's 0.2 of a second. So Luke drops out and Dennis fills the void.
Absolutely, he's right up now straight away. And I've just seen Hockon and Kevin go too wide through Druids successfully, so that shows it can be done, and they're almost wheel to wheel again as they head through Lodge towards the end of lap 18. In the closing stages of this race, we saw Dennis now ranging right up on the back of Tom Ward into turn 1 as they cross the line with 4 laps remaining. As I was saying, the closing stages of this race, it's amazing to see how Dennis, in amongst the fighting, the pack behind him and in front of him, he's bridged the gap and then made one at the same time. Excellent result. Oh, Tom Ward hangs on to it beautifully down the Cascades into Foster's, Bernie. Yeah,
and something's happened to David McDonald in all that as well. He's dropped off the pack. He's sitting 4.5 seconds down and dropped off. So in 6th position.
Yeah, I'm just trying to chase back what happened to David there. He looked to have a few moments, but nothing particular. It must have been something that went on in that battle pack to drop him off the back there, and then he's almost lost it around turn 1, the next lap. So I suggest he's out of the contention at this stage, Bernie.
Yeah, he's definitely dropped off, hasn't he? And a long way down. We can see now the front 2 are battling, 4 laps remaining, and then the other 3, Huckon is leading this battle pack, Kevin Henderson second, Kane is now on the back of it. As we can see now, Dennis Johansson, he looked on the outside, then he tucked back in, so I'd say he's starting to size up, Tom, and working out where he's going to make this move.
Oh, he's putting a lot of pressure on both of them, letting the rear of the car just drift a little bit as they headed through the Cascades that time down into Foster's. Tom's making it abundantly clear that he's going to play the defensive game now. They're only 1.6 seconds ahead, so they can't afford to go too defensive. But look again, he's forcing Dennis to take the outside run. He had some success there with Luke, but Dennis has got a great run out of Foster's. Looks like he might even take this before. No, he's... Look at that, Tom, just up the inside of the double apex Druids there, Bernie, and again, he's straight over to the right-hand side of the track, straight to defend. He's going to force Dennis to go around the outside as they head down into Lodge at the tail end of lap 20. Now, Dennis looking to cross over. Will have picked up a 1X on the inside there, Bernie. Looking to get the draft again. Tom Ward just moving around the track to take that defensive line, break the draft. Going to force Dennis to go around the outside. Now, Dennis is known here. He can drive around the outside. Now, he's going to tuck in and try and get the drive on the crisscross again. Tom's going to force him to the outside. They're wheel by wheel now as they head down through turns 2 and 3, through the Cascades once again. He's going to try and do it on the inside of Foss's here, Bernie. Can he get the braking done? He's looking on the inside. Tom's forcing him to work really hard, side by side through Foss's. Great driving. Who's going to win it on the run up to the hill, Bernie?
I'd say Dennis Johansson will. He's now got the inside. He's going to make Tom hang on the outside up here as they come into Druids, and he should snatch it, although Dennis has now run off into the grass. I'm not sure what that was about. And that too wide. And Tom Ward around the outside snatches the number one back again. Great driving.
Yeah, straight over to the defensive side of the track as they come into Lodge. Just a small misjudgment from Dennis there. Got two wheels on the grass, and look who's looming up. It's Hock-On. Hock-On's on the back of this train. Dennis managing to leap over to the right-hand side of the track. No, Tom covers him off. Look like, no, Dennis, he's going to get the run into turn 1 on the inside, Bernie. As they cross the line now, they're going into the final lap with Dennis Johansson in the lead. Oh, I think he's gone too wide there, Bernie. He's come on to... No! Oh, Dennis!
Into the wall heavily. That's the end of Dennis's race, and probably heard me breathing in, folks. That was called a clenching moment. And Tom Ward, Hock-On now, second. Third is Kevin. Fourth, Kane, and then David McDonald. He's up to fifth. We will have a look at that replay very shortly, folks, but he's definitely buried that.
Yeah, the mainstay here, of course, Tom Ward. He's been through dance partners here tonight. Now Hock-On on the back. Who would have thought it? They were trailing so far behind, but all that action's brought Hock-On right into the fray now as they come into the closing stages. They've been through drills. Tom Ward once again takes the familiar defensive line as they come into Lodge for the final time. Turns around here nice and cleanly. Hock-On looking to get the drive out, perhaps get the draft. He's got good drive. Tom forces him wide, takes the inside line. No need to worry about covering off turn 1 here. And Tom Ward takes a hard-fought win, Bernie.
Certainly does. He was under a lot of pressure, wasn't he? And I tell you what, it was a bit like a folk dance. Every time his dancing partner dropped out, another one jumped in. I think he went through 3 dancing partners by the end of that race, but as they all dropped out. But let's jump back and have a look at exactly what happened to Dennis there. Well, we know what happened. He pretty much just overcooked it, didn't he?
Yeah, look, it was a really challenging run through there. I'm just trying to go back and try and find the replay of it, Bernie. It was spectacular to say the least. He managed just to get in front there for that closing stages there. He done all the hard work there. He's come in to get around and crisscross in the preceding laps, and then he's run it wide. Like I said, he's been known to take the strategic 1X there during races gone by, because he can do it and really get a really strong drive. Tactically, that's fine, but if you run too wide there, the rear of the car step, I thought he hung on to it, but then he copped a little bump as he was attempting to re-enter the track, and that's just unsettled the rear of the car. And I tell you who got lucky there is Tom Ward. Tom Ward, under full acceleration, has just got through without being collected by DJ on the way through, Bernie.
Yeah, it was close. We're just looking at the replay there. I tell you what, Dennis did catch the apex, but then it just sort of went on, didn't it? As you said, hit that bump on the exit, and that's the end of his race as he buries it into the fence.
Yeah, he just didn't wash off enough speed there, Bernie. You could see he'd actually pulled the margin that he'd pulled there, sort of 2 car lengths, is because he hasn't washed off enough speed, and of course that's running wide. And normally, if you look once you're out there, there's a bit of AstroTurf or netting to hold the grass together there, and you can get fine grip out there. But if you exceed that, and I've seen it happen a couple of times here this week, the rear of the car just wants to disappear. And he's done extraordinarily well, and I thought he gathered it up and we were on to a battle for those two for the end of the race. But then it's just the rear suspension's become unweighted underneath after going over a bump, and that's just sent him across the track, Bernie.
Certainly has, but I tell you what, Tom Ward, what a fantastic drive. He was under pressure by Luke Whitten earlier on until Luke crashed at Druids, but then to come under the pressure of Dennis Johansson and then Hakon on the last lap, Tom did a fantastic job in his defence, and I think he pretty much led that whole race.
Oh, he did. I don't think he didn't lead a lap, to be honest. And they don't hand out 5,500 iRating for nothing. He just ate up that pressure, didn't he? Challenger after challenger just came and went, and he saw them off. He showed great pace considering some of the defensive lines he was taking, holding off some really, really high caliber and strong drivers there, and a few of them left wondering what could have been, I suppose.
Yeah, I'd say a few would be wondering that, but I tell you what, fantastic drive by Tom. The other mover and shakers was Dennis. He came up from 7th to fight for that lead up until that incident that he found himself in. The other one was David McDonald. He was moving up earlier on. I'm not sure why he dropped off, but he did come home in 4th position. But let's go through the full results here, folks, so you can see where your favourite drivers finished. So congratulations to Tom Ward. He wins over Hakon Grebstad by 0.005 of a second. Third was Kevin Henderson. Great drive by Kevin tonight. Kane Halliburton comes home in 4th. Here we go. 5th is David McDonald. They always make a liar of me. It's fine. I'm used to it. 6th is Anthony Catt. 7th, Luke Whitten. Good recovery drive by him after that incident. Benjamin Soko comes home in 8th. Dennis Fiedler, he comes home in 9th with Bart Martinovich in 10th position. In 11th was Daniel Pasquale, followed by Russell Clark in 12th. Sergio Heil comes home in 13th, followed by Carlos Sorrentes in 14th. 15th was Tim Hendrickson. Ben Snell comes home in 16th. Dennis Johansson classified 17th and 1 lap down. And of course, poor Mick Gray there classified in 18th. I'd be interested to find out if anyone knows exactly what happened to Mick. It definitely looked like some sort of hardware failure to me.
Yeah, I thought the same, Bernie. Interesting in amongst those results, Russell Clark and Luke Whitten both picking up championship points in their hunt for their I think it's both their inaugural championships that they're chasing at the moment. Russell down in 12th, making a good recovery to get back in the points, and of course Luke there finishing, where did he end up? 7th. So I can't imagine that he pitted and just managed to drive on with that damage to hold on to 7th. So that'll fill out his book or his dance card as far as scoring rounds go. But with 1 round left, of course, he's just managed to gap Russell there and looks odds on to potentially take it out with the final round next week, Bernie.
Yeah, it definitely looks like he's odds on because Russell came home in around about 11th or 12th tonight, so that's going to increase that gap. The other one, though, is Kevin Henderson. Coming into this, if we look at what the point score was, Kevin was sitting in 3rd on 155 points. He's actually scored 3rd in the top split tonight, so that's going to jump him up quite a bit, and it's going to be interesting to see how close he is to Luke and Russell at the end of once you've worked your magic there.
Yeah, well, third's worth 28 points, so he had a 0-point round to drop, or a non-scoring round, so that puts him in the 190s. So he's certainly hang on to 3rd, if not potentially jump Russell, depending on how the points shake out in the end. I don't know. I'm just having a look now at what Russell's got to drop, but I know he's done 8 rounds and he's done all these 0-point rounds. So he's sort of waiting for the hard charges to come from behind, so to speak, and from here and looking to cling on as much as anything else. I'd suggest that, like I said, Luke's odds on with the points he got tonight, filling out his card of 8 races, and Kevin hard charging towards the end. Mick, unfortunately, not bagging any points to get him into the top 5, of course, but I'm interested to see how the second split went with Daryl and Brian chasing them hotly, Bernie.
Yeah, and the news from the commentary channel here is that Daniel Pasquale may have come together with Mick Gray through netcode, which could have been what caused Mick to drop out of tonight. So once again, iRacing does pretty well. We're all around the world, but this netcode does become an issue at times, and that could have contributed to Mick's retirement tonight.
Yeah, I might duck back and have a look at it in a sec if I can get a glimpse of it. But yeah, that's not a great way for Mick to end his night and his championship. Yeah, I haven't been able to pick anything up, but yeah, like I said at the time, he just kind of pulled over to one side, and that to me suggested either wheel or, as you say, some damage picked up, which affected his steering. But not a great way for Mick to. Oh yeah, I've just copped it on the entry into Druids. Actually, he got net coded by car number 16, Daniel Pascal, as was reported in the chat. And I've got to tell you, there's a good couple of tie widths in between the two cars. So racing with drivers all across the world has some, fantastic elements to them. That's just one of the more heartbreaking ones, unfortunately.
Yeah, and we're having a look at this now. We'll jump into Gyrocam to get a bit of a view of the netcode issue here as we jump into super slow-mo, and we'll have a look at this.
Yeah, look, they're both. Mick's left plenty of room up the inside. It's just Pascal got a slightly better run up towards Druids for that first lap, and Mick's left him all the room in the world. And to be fair, Pascal really hasn't done anything wrong there. Just a couple of widths of tyre between them, and the phantom contact has caused that damage to Mick, and he's then lost control or just not been able to make it back to the pit. You see, he just can't turn left. He can't straighten the car and off into the wall at the other side of Druids, Bernie.
Yeah, and we're riding in slow-mo here, and you can see him, as you said, he's trying to correct it. He's just got absolutely no steering there at all, and then he finds a fence. Yeah,
that's right. And then he's I don't know, he's probably just out of frustration pulled over and called it a night at that point.
Yeah, and so thanks to Dennis there for clearing that up for our viewers out there. So that's what's happened to Mick. Now, before we go to interviews, folks, a bit of a plug for this week. It's a massive week here on RRTV, starting Friday night, 7:45pm. If you like your V8 supercars, join us for the Australian Supercar Championship. It's Road America 650. So it's going to be a late one on Friday night, but we don't stop there. To be confirmed this is, but it looks like June the 3rd, Saturday night, we're off to Le Mans for the 2.4 hour endurance race starting at 10:45pm. It's going to be another late one, probably go through till about 2 in the morning, and then if you really like your Le Mans, come back and join us. 8:45am we kick off with the Selby Endurance Championship for the Le Mans 10 hour. Now that'll be broken into two parts if I'm still awake. 8:45am to 12pm, part 1 on Sunday morning. Part 2 will kick off at 4pm and go through till 8pm, which will include the end of the race plus post-race interviews.
Tell you what, talk about full dance cards, Bernie. That's a mammoth effort sounding like right there.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of tap dancing going on, bit of snoring. So if anyone wants to see how I sound with no sleep, definitely tune in. It's going to be hilarious. And I was hoping, Alex, you'd be joining me for a few of those late ones.
Well, mate, let's have a look at the schedule, and I'm sure I can try and have a look. Actually, I've been doing a bit of practice for the official 24-hour race, so getting a bit of experience watching how others do it might actually be very beneficial.
Yeah, well, join me anytime you like. But yeah, so folks, keep an eye on the Facebook page. Everything will be up there for it. But if you like your GT3 and V8 supercar action, you're going to get it this weekend. Full dance card here on RRTV. But anyway, we should see if there's any interviews down there.
Yeah, I'll bring up Kevin Henderson after a spectacular podium, shall I? Do you want to have a chat to Kevin?
Oh, yeah. I always like a chat with Kevin.
Very good. I'll bring him up.
Hi Kevin, welcome to RRTV's Combox. Congratulations, mate. 3rd position. Looked like you're having a fantastic race out there. A lot of action, and probably not a lot of time for you to relax.
You're not wrong there, Bernie. Yeah, I was had a great run. I was pretty lucky there, but I I was hanging on by the skin of my teeth. Those boys are fast.
Yeah, well, they were lapping in the 104s, and your fastest lap, 104.751. And I'm just having a look if that's actually the fastest lap of the night. No, it's not. But as far as the standard of racing out there tonight, it looked like it was hard, but it looked like it was clean.
Yeah, it was very, very hard and clean. A bit of netco between David and Hakon, which was a bit of a shame, but let me get by into third. And just tell how hard we were pushing. Luke went off, and Dennis both went off. That's how hard we were going at it. There wasn't much room for error there. I just wanted a good result, so I was quite happy just to hang on to the back of the pack and see what turned up.
And what were you thinking when you saw Dennis starting to come back across the track with 1 lap to go?
I was clenching my steering wheel, Bernie.
I bet you that's not the only thing you're clenching, but anyway. Oh, dearie me.
The euphemism, isn't it?
Yeah, gritting your teeth, yes. I'm going to see if Alex has any questions for you. I'm sure he does.
Oh, mate, yeah, that looked like fantastic racing out there. I noticed you haven't done too many this week, but certainly representative of some of the racing that I've seen and been a part of. You can get with a good group and chase hard, race hard, and then race smart at the same time. It's not your typical draft to pass track, mate. How have you found the racing here this week?
Yeah, no, I found the racing here really good. It was quite surprising that once Dennis got in front of me and Hakon, that the guys behind us actually caught up. I thought once Dennis got in the front there, we would have cleared out. And I was telling him to push. I think he's probably pushing as hard as he could, but I was getting reeled in from behind, which was really quite surprising.
Yeah, he's had magic pace here all week, but 104s across quite a substantial part of the field. Certainly the top 5 guys, and then Sergio down further in the pack, and Dennis, of course. So you've got 7 guys doing 104s, the fastest lap of the race, a 104.5. That's the fastest lap I've seen here all week. So the pace was certainly on. So second highest strength of field for the week. I'd expect that pace to be on for sure, and it sounds like it was certainly on for you out there, mate.
Yeah, Alex. Yeah, well, that's like I said, I just wanted a good result. I needed the points, and so I was quite happy just to let the mayhem go on. But then the last couple of laps there, it all just opened up for me, and away I went. So yeah, I'm a pretty happy camper.
Yeah, that's it. Sometimes patience wins out of these races, I guess. But those points tonight will be invaluable. You got a 0-point round still to drop. So third position, I'll tell you what, you'll be giving Russell a good nudge for second in the overall standing. So hopefully that I'll do the points later tonight, and we'll see how that shapes out.
Yeah, no, I was really happy with it. I didn't think I could catch Russell, but I don't know where he finished up tonight.
Yeah, he got 12th, so he'll get some points, but he hasn't got any sort of drop rounds that won't advance him. So it'll be pretty tight, actually, so it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah, it'd be real excellent if I could actually get a second in the championship. I think I've come third the last 4 or 5 seasons.
Yeah, well, hopefully one extra step up. Anyone you'd like to give a shout out to tonight before we let you go?
Oh, RRTV, of course, and you and Simon for the work you do, and you too, Bernie, and once again to Mark Jeffries for my livery. Great work, guys, and really enjoyed it.
Yeah, beautiful. Thanks, Kevin, and have a good night.
Yeah, good night, Alex. Night, Bernie. Good night, viewers.
Yeah, night, Kevin. Night, John Boy. So, ADEX interview, folks, is with David McDonald, and if you bring him up, Alex, you can start the proceedings if you want. He came home 5th by the looks of it.
Yeah, beautiful. G'day, David. Alex McKellar here for RRTV. Looks like a great result for you out there tonight. Perhaps one that you weren't expecting given the early runnings of the race. How did you find the action out there tonight?
Yeah, hey guys. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, mate, you're loud and clear.
It was a really fun race. I've been having trouble qualifying here, and so I expected my pace to be pretty strong once I got going, but I found the qualifying to be not great. And then the field was so tight with 3 or 4 tenths covering 10 or 12 of us. So it was I expected to move up a little, but I was really happy with the pace that I had. And then this sort of mid-race strategy where I was just hanging on to Haken and to Dennis while we reeled in Tom and Luke. I thought that was that was very effective. But just sorry to see Dennis not make the end there. And then had a little contact with Haken that was just net code. We were about a half a car apart from each other when it happened, and then the car just wouldn't turn right.
Yeah, that's a shame, mate. I noticed you about 8 or 9 seconds behind that front pack in the end, which spoke to that incident. Of course, yourself and Håkon separated geographically, but by quite some way. You get that at a tight track like this with the tight racing that the skippies afford. But certainly, you've been down here a few times for the Monday Night Lights Championship and the broadcast here, mate. How are you finding the racing on a Monday night?
I think the racing is excellent. It's sadly my last race. My work schedule's changing a little, so I won't be able to do the next maybe 6 or 8 weeks of racing. But it's been really good. It's everybody's. Well, I wouldn't say everyone is very clean, but the racing tends to be very clean. It's very, very competitive, and it's a really good broadcast as well. You guys are entertaining and cover really well.
Yeah, thanks, David, mate. It's been great to have you here. Sorry to hear you'll be doing other duties, so to speak, but hopefully after that we can see you back. I'll hand you over to Bernie now to see what he's got to ask.
Sure.
Yeah, well done, David. Whereabouts did you start on the grid? Because it looked like you were making some great inroads there as the race progressed.
Yeah, I started 8th. Had a pretty good start, but there were a bunch of us there within a 10th. I think there were 4 or 5 of us we qualified 5.5, and so I knew that I had some pace, and I knew that I would be able to pick up a little bit as it went on, and then we all just kind of shook out. There was a little something happened towards the start of the race where we got separated from Tom and Luke, and so then it was just kind of playing it smart, making sure not to blow the car up in the draft, and waiting for Dennis to reel them back in. They started to fight, and all of a sudden it was back on. But then I had my incident towards the end. So
yeah, bad luck about that incident, but it's still a great result, 5th tonight, and it looked like you were very, very in the thick of it for the whole race. So congratulations on that. Sad to hear that you won't be joining us for the next 6 to 8 weeks, but I'm definitely looking forward to your return once hopefully your work settles down again.
It was really fun, though. Yeah, it's always positive problems.
Fantastic. Well, before we let you go, David, is there any people you want to give a shout out to tonight?
Just all of the guys racing. It's I really enjoy this strength of field race, and I've been having a really fun time racing against everybody. So keep it up, guys. I'll be back hopefully soon.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for joining us, Dave. It's always a pleasure having you join us for this race, and definitely looking forward to your return once work settles down, mate.
Thanks. Cheers, guys.
Well, Alex, I guess the final interview will be Simon Chambers. We might bring him up. Simon's probably in the splits 2 or 3, and we'll get a bit of a report on that.
Yeah, absolutely, Bernie. Simon, Alex McKellar here, mate. Welcome to the commentary booth once again. How did your race go tonight, mate? We certainly had a lot of close action here in the top split. How did your split shake out?
Yeah, good. You can hear me okay?
Yeah, mate, you're loud and clear.
Thanks. Yeah, really good close race the whole way. A bit of bad luck for Daryl Ridley, who started up the front. He got tangled up with the back marker early on, and ended up having to quit. But for me, I was car 13, managed to qualify 5th, and then got up into 4th place after Daryl went out. So not too bad.
No, mate, that's a spectacular effort. There's a lot of points in that, both in terms of iRating and championship points there for you, mate. Car number 13 up in the top 5. That's a great result. You must be happy with that.
Yeah, got a good iRating boost and safety rating boost. I had a little battle with Ben Wild behind me. He was drifting in and out of my draft, and I think I squeezed him coming down the hill, and he ran on the grass and tapped me, but we both survived and managed to finish in the same positions.
Yeah, excellent. I'm sorry to hear that about Daryl Ridley's woes. He's been having a stellar season this season in terms of Monday Night Lights results. He's won 4 of the things during the season, but I can see that looking at the results now, you're right, he's just disconnected, which has been a bit of a curse for him at times, running in the second split like that, but hopefully we'll see him back bigger and better in the future. Any of the other contenders there, Brian Inglis, I see snagged 8th position, which will be some more points for him. Ken Himes down in 11th. I haven't seen any sign of Brian Inglis though. Was he not there tonight?
Yeah, didn't see him. Not sure, but a few guys were bumped down to the next split, and I saw that Mark Jeffrey won the 3rd split, so he's bumped down there.
Wow, I'm just pulling that result up now. That's a fantastic result for Mark. I bet he's got a grin from ear to ear. Shame not to be in the second split, but the strength of field tonight was fantastic, and for him to then go on and take out the 3rd split is a fantastic effort, mate. How was the rubbing shoulders tonight? Any major incidents, or was it all nice and clean up the pointy end where you were?
Yeah, apart from Daryl, I'd say it was clean. We had good battle ahead of me between the first 3, Stuart Mathers, Jason Willman and Ben Whitaker, and they finished 1, 2, 3, and they were having a good fight. I was coming up behind them, but couldn't get by either of them.
Oh, it's good to hear another Monday Night Light stalwart in Jason Willman had a great result. So before I let you go, though, I'll hand you over to Bernie to round things up.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, Simon. Australasian Super Skips this Sunday night. Where's the championship heading?
Yeah, we're at Sebring this time around. It'll be the full international circuit, so looking forward to that. And Sunday session starts 8 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, and that'll be covered by Top Split TV, Alex. It'll be yourself. Have you got Desmond joining you?
I believe I've got Desmond Harvage returning to join me in the commentary booth, and my teeth are nervously chattering already. I'll make sure I've got some fingernails left to bite by the end of the week, Bertie. These things without you, flying solo, are a bit nerve-wracking.
You'll be right. By the time you guys go on air, I should be just about ready to go to bed, I think. But and of course the viewers can catch the replay of your telecast. Probably it'll go up Monday night, or by Monday night it should be available on your YouTube channel. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. I don't have the bandwidth to do them live, unfortunately, so I'll do the delayed broadcast and upload it over Sunday night. So it'll be there bright and early on Monday, all going to plan. So hopefully the viewers can hold off and enjoy it at that point.
Yeah, fantastic. So a lot of action there for our viewers all weekend, pretty much. But getting back to the race here, the pacing, Alex, was phenomenally quick. The fastest lap was set by Dennis Johansson with a 104.555. So you know this track pretty well, Alex. Can you put into words what sort of speed that is, or how fast that is as far as skippies go?
Yeah, mate, the word that comes to mind is fast. I think I mentioned a bit earlier that prior to this race, the fastest lap I'd seen around here is a 104.8 in draft. Now, no doubt the hatful of 104s that went on here tonight were primarily done in the draft, with the exception of perhaps of Tom Ward, who from memory led every lap. So his 104.7 would have been in clean air, which is just 2/10 off the fastest lap of the race. But conditions were with the drivers tonight, relatively cool track, as we said at the start, and then the times went tumbling as a result. I was expecting to see maybe one or two 104s, but to have nearly half the field dropping into the 104s just speaks once again to the calibre of the field here tonight, and the high standard of driving that was out there. I mean, we saw lap after lap, 22 laps around here, nose to tail action, a bit of side by side, guys taking side by side some of the corners that only the brave and courageous will do. So fantastic driving all round, Bernie.
It certainly was, and we've got, I think, one more round next Monday night to end off this season, and I'm not sure where they're going. Do you know where we're heading next week for the Monday lights?
Yeah, same as the Australasian Super Skips, will be off to Sebring, the full circuit there. So it's interesting. I think it's at least the second, if not the third season in a row we've been to Sebring to close things out. Challenging flat circuit, no camber on the corners, concrete, a mixture of concrete and asphalt where, because it's an old Air Force base, they do a lot of endurance racing there, but it's a challenging little layout for the skips. Couple of really long straights as you would expect at an airport, but different track once again to what we've seen here tonight. A bit more draft, but certainly some technical elements to it as well, Bernie.
Yeah, and what comes to mind when I think of Sebring is the final hairpin, all those bumps, and the first corner, of course, more bumps across that concrete. And generally makes it pretty challenging in the skippy, but it also makes it for great viewing. So hopefully the viewers will join us for that, as well as hopefully, folks, you'll come back and join me Friday night for the Australian Supercar Championship. But anyway, Alex, thanks, mate, for joining us. It was a fantastic race once again, and I'm looking forward to having your company again next Monday night.
Yeah, thanks, Bernie. It's been fantastic to be here once again. The guys put on a great show tonight, very enjoyable. In between watching all of Bernie's broadcasts, of course, during the week, you might be able to catch me on the Top Split TV Twitch channel. Been having a great time there with some of my viewers there, interacting around the layout here this week at Oulton Park. It's been a lot of fun, and I've been really enjoying it. So, guys, if you're interested in seeing a bit of the live action in between some of the RRTV broadcasts, check it out at Top Split TV on Twitch. Thanks, Bernie.
Welcome. I knew you were going to get a plug in there somewhere.
Had to come eventually, right?
Yeah, I was waiting for it. Anyway, folks, that ends our broadcast tonight. Thanks for joining us. I hope you enjoyed tonight's race. Hopefully I'll have your company again Friday night. But until then, have a fantastic night, and we'll catch you again on RRTV very shortly. Good night.